Week 1 is finally here, and I can't wait for this key matchup that most people aren't talking about as it relates to the Bills and the Ravens. What I want to know is how much the Ravens will use heavy personnel, and I also want to know how much the Bills will man blitz Lamar Jackson. These things are going to define the game, in my opinion. Let's talk about it. First and foremost, the Baltimore Ravens are already without tight end Isaiah Likely. And we're now seeing that fullback Pat Ricard is not practicing with a calf injury. I don't think people realize how massive this is. I haven't heard nearly enough people talk about this. This is critical. The Baltimore Ravens played the #1 lowest rate of 3 wide receivers last year on the field. A whopping 40% of their plays come with 2 running back sets out on the field. Most likely, Patrick Ricard is a fullback and a running back out there. That was the second highest rate in the NFL. You can't operate at that high rate without Pat Ricard out there. And then 46% of their plays featured multiple tight ends, predominantly Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. That was the 5th highest rate in the NFL. You're not going to operate at that high clip without Isaiah Likely out there. In total, the Baltimore Ravens last year played the #1 highest rate of heavy personnel, whether it's 2 tight end sets or a fullback out there as well. Did it matter from an efficiency perspective when they had that heavy personnel out there? Absolutely. When running the football with heavy personnel, the Baltimore Ravens ranked #1 in EPA and #1 in success. But out of 3 receiver sets, they dropped down to #11 in EPA and #22 in success rate. And when passing the football, the Ravens' EPA per attempt dipped sharply as well when Isaiah Likely wasn't out there on the field. So I think we're going to see more 3 wide receiver sets inevitably from the Baltimore Ravens, and that could hurt their passing and rushing efficiency. So that's a big question mark. As it relates to the Bills, what I'm most curious to see is how often they blitz Lamar and play man coverage. These 2 teams met twice last year. In the first meeting, the Buffalo Bills blitzed Lamar on just 25% of dropbacks, his 4th lowest rate of any game last season. And they played man coverage on only 16% of their snaps. In that blowout loss, the Bills played man blitz on Lamar just 10% of his dropbacks. But in the rematch, the Bills used man blitzes on an insane 48% of early down dropbacks and 37% of all dropbacks. They followed the recipe that other teams have used successfully against Lamar Jackson. You see, Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL statistically when not being blitzed. Last year, he averaged 8.9 yards per attempt with 30 touchdowns to 1 interception. But when he faces man blitzes, he's averaging just 6.5 yards per attempt. In that playoff loss, the Buffalo Bills used that very high rate of man blitzes, and when Lamar was man blitzed, he averaged -0.38 EPA per attempt, 10% success, and only 2.4 yards per pass attempt on 10 dropbacks. The Baltimore Ravens know this. Todd Monken commented on it this offseason, said that they were going to try to fix it. The Buffalo Bills know this, which is why they upped their man blitz rate against Lamar in the playoff game. How often will the Bills decide to utilize man blitz against Lamar? And how will the Baltimore Ravens perform better against it potentially this year? These are 2 of the biggest aspects to this game that aren't getting a lot of discussion. I cannot wait to watch it play out on Sunday Night Football.